What is person-centered therapy? That is essentially the therapeutic approach based on the work and theories and ideas of Carl Rodgers. I would say this falls into two categories, which often get conflated together. There are the core conditions, which aren't really an idea of a specific way to do therapy so much as a requirement for therapy to work at all, which Rodgers figured that out. These are required for all kinds of therapy. So we'll look at that separately. The other thing is Rodgers' ideas about what kind of therapy to do once you have achieved the core conditions, how to theoretically view what's going on for the client. For that, I would say most of that can be boiled down to the idea that the truth is a very good thing and is healing. Maybe painful, but the truth will set you free in a very real way. So one of the things that Rodgers talks about a lot, and that is a core condition of person-centered therapy, is congruence. Congruence for the therapist, congruence for the client, congruence across. And what that is really is understanding what the truth is of the matter and coming to terms with that and sort of seeing that, acting it out in life. The fundamental ideas of person-centered therapy all center around this. So one is the idea of the ideal self and the real self. And that's basically, if you have an ideal self that is too different from your real self, that is bad for your mental health. And that is, essentially, you're not being true to who you are. It's all about the truth. So you have to work with who you are and improve that, rather than have an incongruence between who you are and who you believe you should be or are, or all of that kind of stuff. Where does that stuff tend to come from? It comes from other people. No one ever just makes up an ideal self on their own. It's about, at the very least, how other people will see you. If not, also about the expectations other people put onto you. The other big one is the locus of evaluation, which ties into the first one, right? If you have a very externalized locus of evaluation, you are more susceptible to other people's opinions, other people's expectations and desires of you, rather than your own. And so then that can lead to you desiring to be different to who you actually are, because who you are doesn't live up to the expectations other people place on you, and you are affected by that. And so that causes a problem. And what do we do about that? Essentially, we have to find a way to be who we are within the environment that we live. And often that means letting go of how other people see us. If you're true to yourself and other people don't like that, I mean, as long as you're not hurting anyone, why should you care, basically? The last sort of big thing about this that Rodgers sort of introduced to the therapeutic world is phenomenology. So this is less about the theory, and this is closer to therapeutic practice and core conditions, but Rodgers thought that empathy and congruence were big deals, and the way in which you see how other people are and the way in which you express that yourself is through your phenomenology, which is essentially the way you are in the world. And so a big part of therapy is both presenting yourself congruently, really truthfully in the world, in the room with the client, and also seeing what's going on for the other person through their phenomenology. And that is Rodgers' theory of therapy.